Okay, so do you think they also do any kind of hardware like the PlayStation VR2?
Yes. So, I don't know about PlayStation VR2, Nate. You can definitely respond to that, but I will say this: they got to figure out some firmware updates and fast, because the current state of the PS5, now that we've all had one and we've had one for a month, 2 months, whatever, however long they've been out, there are some issues with that system that need some fixes like ASAP. So one of their things that they really have to do now that they're getting back from the break starting next week is they need to start pushing out some regular firmware updates to fix some of these issues, because I'm getting crashes, I'm getting issues with my haptic feedback, I'm getting just all sorts of weird UI things sometimes. So they got to address this stuff. They got to start adding some features to the operating system. They have a lot of work to do on that front.
You think when are they gonna let us like upgrade our storage? The NVMe
that's
drive.
another one. Yeah, the 120 hertz thing, the storage stuff. I mean, they got to get this stuff figured out. They promised this stuff, and it's sure it's still the launch window technically, but I mean we're fast approaching getting out of that. So now they really need to start giving us those features.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. Especially that, like I said, the extra storage. That's something I would like to be able to do like now.
Well, beyond even just the NVMe drive, let me have a cold storage solution. The fact that I still can't use an external hard drive.
That's true for PS5 games. Use it for PS4 games, but not PS5.
Like that should have been there day one. And instead, Sony comes out with, we're not seeing any storage problems. Well, you have like 3 games, so you shouldn't have storage problems yet. They have to address storage. They have to address even just basic user interface stuff with some firmware updates. It's not that it's bad, the dashboard is bad, or the user interface is bad in its own, but why is it such a convoluted mess to get to my trophies? It just feels like there's too many extra steps to get there. Why isn't it just a symbol on the game bar? Why do I have to go to my profile to access my full list of trophies?
Why not?
That's unnecessary. That's a very simple solution.
Even holding down the button. It took me 10 minutes to find out how to add friends.
Well, that's why I only play single player games on PS. I don't know how to operate it at all. Whenever I shoot, I'm just gonna go to the game and play. I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm just gonna do that. There's so much stuff, but I like the interface. I thought it was all right, but I see what you guys are saying though.
Like even to shut it off. I still hold down the button because I just want that prompt to come up. Every other system does it. It did it on the PlayStation 4. Sony this time was like, yeah, let's just add an extra step because I don't know why.
What do you think about PlayStation VR2 though? Do you think that's coming this year, or at least announced?
I think it gets announced this year. Whether or not it releases this year probably is kind of up in the air. It depends really how they want to approach that headset and what type of technology they want to implement into it. But I could see that be announced, I'd say this summer, usually when Sony has their June type of event. I could see them announce it then, maybe hold it off until late summer if they don't have intentions of launching it until next spring. But I definitely see an announcement this year.
They have 2 games that would work really well with it too. They have Gran Turismo, which Gran Turismo Sport, well, it was a good hey, tech demo. Here's what it could look like, with your VR headset. But like the PSVR 2 with the PS5 would probably be way more advanced. And Resident Evil 8. I think if you had Resident Evil, maybe it even gets an update around the time the headset comes out and you can play all the way through it in VR. That would be really cool to see that. But they have to make a lot of improvements on that PlayStation VR headset. It's got to shrink.
It has to be wireless.
Right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that have to improve.
You can't be attaching, 7 cords into a control box and then 3 cords out of the control box into the PS4. I mean, it has to be a much more easier, streamlined process.
I know the booster box from I remember just upped the overall refresh rate, which the PS5 should be able to do on its own now. That shouldn't be an issue. So I'd like to think that at worst case we would have 1 cable going to it, and that'd really be it. Maybe through it could be what the USB-C port on the front's for. Who knows? Or it's just one of the USB 3s on the back, maybe both of them. But
the USB-C port on the front is awesome for charging your controller. USB to USB, it charges it really fast.
Yes.
That's what it's for.
I got the charging station thing, and it does take a little longer to charge through that.
If you do, I'm telling you, the USB to USB on the front.
Yeah. I think you're right now. I think the PSVR 2 could be announced at some point this year, but it might not come out till next year, to be honest.
Do we get Half-Life Alyx with it?
Yes, I would assume that would be one of the games they would push in like the initial teaser trailer.
Oh, really?
That would be a good one for them to pick up, especially if it's more advanced, like we're thinking that would work like correctly with Half-Life Alyx. Because like PlayStation VR now probably wouldn't do that well with some of the stuff that Half-Life Alyx is doing, where you're actually grabbing things with their hands, and I don't think it worked that well. But I would hope that would be one of the games that they would have on the radar to just grab immediately, and even have as a launch title to go alongside the VR2, because that would get a lot of people on board Half-Life Alyx like 2 years after the game came out or something. So
yeah, if you give them a launch title for Half-Life Alyx and maybe like an enhanced Beat Saber or a Tetris effect or something that's enhanced for PS5 VR, that I could see that, you know, selling a lot of pre-orders.
The sad thing is that Half-Life Alyx wasn't nominated for Game of the Year, but there's a good chance that in 2021 Cyberpunk will be.
No.
Yeah, that game is not getting nominated for Game of the Year.
All right,
It's gonna get.
Are we gonna make that bet right now?
I bet you it'll get best ongoing game.
I bet you it gets nominated for Game of the Year next year.
Rob, if you're watching, do not nominate Cyberpunk.
That game is not getting nominated for Game of the Year. It's January, what is it? 2nd. And the only discourse around that game is it's broken. It's not as good as people said. Why did people say this game was good? Some people do happen to enjoy it, but there's no actual conversation going around like, I can't wait to play this game for the next year, like an Elder Scrolls has. I beat the game. I'm never playing it again. This game has no longevity, and this is going to be forgotten. And a lot of the game's problems aren't going to be fixed just because they have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X patch. The game's foundation and fundamental design is flawed, and that's the conversation going on right now. CD Projekt Red can't fix that within a year.
Yeah, but Nate, they're just going to send out another wave of chairs, and it'll fix everything.
They're going to send me a chair, and I'll sit in and say, this game sucks.
They're going to put patches out. People will forgive it midway through this year coming up, and then next year at the Game Awards, it's going to be right there next to like God of War and Forbidden West, and maybe even Breath of the Wild too.
Dude, not with the games coming out this year. I mean, if this year was weaker, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But this year has a lot of good games that are going to be coming out, man. Like, it's going to be pretty packed. So I don't know about it. It might get nominated for like best,
hopefully
best performance.
Hopefully they're good games.
You know?
Is there a Don't Call It a Comeback award? Because might get a nom for that.
They're gonna give it. They're probably gonna give it best ongoing experience. If they manage to fix it, they're gonna give it that stupid weird thing that they give to Fortnite every year.
I feel like they'll want to try to give it some award for something. I don't know.
Yeah. Best game to convince people not to pre-order games based on hype goes to Cyberpunk 2077.
All I know is it got a bunch of 10 out of 10s and hundreds out of 100s there when it first came out.
Yeah, but
now people are going back to those reviews saying,
that was so
I played
funny.
the game. Even if I ignore the bugs and some of the glitches, how did this game get a perfect score?
Because it was controlled. That you can't take the review scores at face value because it was a controlled review. They only PC. You could only use this footage. You could only there was too many restrictions. That's why it got so many great scores. Once the game started getting out to where PS4, Xbox, everything, people started, wait a minute, it's not what the experience is on what the, it has a completely different score on PS4 and PS4 and Xbox One than it does on PC, you know?
I mean, I gave it a 9 out of 10 on an Xbox Series X, and I still stand by that. A big reason why I enjoyed the experience so much isn't because of the crazy graphics. To me, I love the freaking storytelling in that game. I know MVG, you were saying you didn't care for the main story. I like the main story. I like the side quests. It felt like such a thought out universe. It's filled with bugs. I still don't think you should play it on a base Xbox One at all. Of course, the VCR is going to fucking melt. But when that comes out next gen, I am planning on doing a full master file when it comes out on PS5.
The Series X version is the best console version. So
I heard Stadia was the best version.
I did hear that too, unironically.
That's where we are. That's where we are with this game. Cyberpunk made Stadia look good.
We've heard it, but none of us have tried it on Stadia.
Yeah, right. We're all just it's Nintendo and nobody else. Nintendo's the one guy tweeting about it.
I heard it runs well on the Atari VCS. John, have you got do you have your Atari VCS yet?
Yo, that's on the way. It's I got shipping an update for it. It is supposed to show up on Tuesday, I believe.
That's super exciting. Take it to the office. I want to check that thing out.
I'm actually going to have the Atari VCS.
Kevin's actually excited for hardware.
I got the their Pro controller thing too.
Awesome.
I got that as
You
well.
didn't
I
get
didn't
the
get
joystick though.
I didn't get the joysticks. No, I didn't get the classic joystick, unfortunately. But I got the other controller. So we'll see. That apparently they partnered with PowerA for that one. So, but back to Sony. I think they're going to have a good year overall. I think they're going to go that run where it's going to feel like almost every 6 to 7 weeks they're going to have a release coming out there for a little while. So
they could get close to that. I mean, they're going to have a lot of great software. I think they're going to have a lot of good announcements this year. Hardware sales, they could potentially come close to Switch type numbers from 2017. We could see them move 17, 18 million units this year if they have supply.
Yeah, I think that's the big question mark. If they have supply, they gotta figure out this supply thing fast. Otherwise, every day that goes past, I mean, there's just
lost sales.
Yeah, it's lost sales. Absolutely.
Yep. So I would assume that by maybe April or May they have at least figured out on the back end, and they're sending more and more in.
Scalper thing too with how Walmart's blocking. We got to figure that out too.
The question is, when do you guys think that you can jump on Amazon and buy a PS5, add to cart without either having?
I don't even think it's going to be
a while, right?
I don't even think it's going to be Christmas. Even I think midway through, maybe in summer, like Nate's saying, maybe like summer, like July or something, you will. Mm-hmm. But once we get into holidays, same thing's going to happen again because people will start trying to buy them for Christmas. And like the Switch still gets resold on eBay now for more than it's worth. It's like a $450 system half the time on eBay.
It had a weird year because it kind of hit its peak in terms of demand, partially because of Animal Crossing, and Nintendo did not anticipate such high demand, especially in the West. So they were just chugging along at their normal production rate, and it was like, crap, we're making 1 million units a month, but our demand is actually 2 million units a month. We got to do something. And once people noticed that, scalpers started buying them up, and they were secondhand selling them for double, triple the price in some cases. So
I can find the Switch Lite pretty easily right now, though. They have that like 12 of them at my Walmart right now. It's just the regular Switch. Everyone's the regular one.
Well, because it gives you the best of both worlds. You get portability and home docking.
Yep, that is true. So that's the PS5. Expecting big things from it this year.
Maybe an acquisition too. Maybe Sony looks into an acquisition.
Ooh, whoa,
okay.
wait, whoa.
What's this?
Maybe Sony looks into an acquisition.
I wonder who it's Bluepoint.
Could be Bluepoint.
Lock up Bluepoint. Lock them up. Yep. I think they've earned it at this point to just be, I guess you'd say, stable completely. Sony would buy them, bring them in.
Yeah, but Bluepoint needs to agree to it too, right? I mean, they could be happy the way they are.
Correct.
That's true. They could be.
Like, a lot of things change when you basically fall under the wing of a big publisher / hardware maker. The rules change, and maybe you lose some freedoms. Maybe you lose a little bit of what made you a special boutique shop to begin with. So I'm not saying they wouldn't be bought out by Sony. They wouldn't do that, but you got to consider the company as well. What Bluepoint are thinking.
That's true.
As well.
I wonder if it would be an easier acquisition in general, like overall for both sides, because they've worked together so much, where it'd be like, yep, we already know what you guys do, what we do, let's just bring it in here, we'll make it official. And I mean, from what we've heard, the studios at Sony all basically work together on things too. If there's an issue with a game or like they're having a hard time with an engine or something, so we've heard about that too. So that's a good resource to have. All of a sudden you can literally call Sony Santa Monica and be like, hey, I'm having this issue.
Well, maybe they're just waiting. I mean, you would think that every single day that Bluepoint hasn't been bought by Sony, the price goes up. So maybe they're just waiting for the right time, to pull the trigger.
Sure.
That's the interesting thing with Bluepoint. It's because they've always done these remastered or remakes. They don't actually have all that much in terms of asset value. They don't own any IP. So their worth is really, look at our talent, look at what we've produced. And after Demon Souls, that's going to get a lot more attention. So that's where, if you're Sony, you get them now, especially if you do assign them something like theoretical Metal Gear Solid 1 remake.
I like where this
want to have them before Metal Gear Solid 1. You want to make sure you have ownership, because the second a game like that magnitude launches, all of a sudden their price is increasing 5 to 10-fold. And
Microsoft,
Microsoft, I'm saying, hey, we want you now because So
Finally.
our back catalog, we
Lights are
want to
coming back.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing that as soon as possible. Probably, I'd say like the end of March, I'd want to announce our intents to buy Bluepoint going into our new fiscal year of boom, the deal's done. And now let's just move forward with this company, because you don't want their talent really to become too exposed to the point where you're catching the eye of EA, Activision, Microsoft. You don't have to worry about Nintendo because they're blind to such ideas.
Are they?
But you don't.
What if
Yes.
what if Nintendo approached Bluepoint and said, "Eternal Darkness, make it happen. Let's go."
I was not going to do that.
As exciting as that would be, Nintendo would.
It sounds too exciting and make too many people happy, so we're not doing that.
It'd be like such a smart business move for Nintendo, so we know that's not happening.
Dude, Nintendo hasn't even bought like Next Level. They're just like, nah, y'all good. Just keep making Mario or Luigi's Mansion for us for the next 30 years. Or
I almost wonder if they would if Sony became pretty aggressive like over the next 2 years and started buying different studios. Like, I almost wonder if Nintendo would be like, maybe we should just go ahead and take care of this now.
I do agree, though. I do think that I would expect Bluepoint to get picked up by Sony at some point this year. I think it's on the cards. I think Demon's Souls was, really a show us what you got type of thing for next gen. And now that they've proven themselves, I think now is really the time where, the deal's probably in the works right now as we speak, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that for Sony. It makes a lot of sense. So.